Hello, Chattanooga.
Hello.
Welcome to Footnotes.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today.
I'm Sam Hoda.
And I'm Ethan Corner.
We're so glad that you've joined us. Footnotes is a ministry of Cornerstone Apostolic Church in Chattanooga. This is, with Footnotes, we sit down and we talk about the sermon, just the footnotes of it from the prior Sunday. It's kind of our midweek check-in to kind of just refresh our minds what God has done with us. I want to say it's good to have Ethan here with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, for having me here.
It's his first time recording Footnotes with me, and I'm excited to hear some of his insight and take on what Pastor Gibson preached on this weekend. But before we get to that, I want to say we had such a wonderful weekend here at CAC.
Yes, we did.
We at the 11 o'clock hour we have Sunday School. We call it the Journey, and that's every Sunday at 11 a.m. We just sit down and we just study the Word. We have different classes, we have electives, we have different things that for every age group, and those things rotate month to month. And what it does is it sets the tone for the day. There is a noticeable difference, if I may, in having that time of studying the Word,
right,
and then being able to go from there into a worship service at 12 a.m. And already have our mind set.
Yeah.
And just it's like we're just in sync. We're just hey, we've studied the Word. All right, let's worship. And then we hear the Word preached to us again. And man, Sundays are just they're an event every week.
They are.
It's a big deal. We do our best to be so intentional.
Right.
Every week, week in and week out. This past week, Ethan, he was learning a new soundboard. We just got a new soundboard put in.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So forgive me if you went back and watched that and it didn't sound the best.
Flashbacks. He's having flashbacks, but he did a wonderful job. We focus on doing our best to everyone doing their part at CAC.
Yes.
I want to say Pastor Gibson, he preached on, his title was "Don't Miss It."
Don't miss it.
I wasn't for sure what he was going to go with there. I was thinking of the country song. At some point, I was like, man, Duran's going to have a hard time singing country music at the end for altar call. Yeah, if you're going to miss it,
you're going to miss it.
That's not what he did at all.
No.
He started. Where did he start at?
He started talking about the verse was Exodus 33 and 13.
Yeah.
And I've got my notes pulled up here, so I'm not just looking amiss. I'll read it real quick.
Yeah.
It says, "Now therefore I pray," and I'm reading the New King James Version. "If I have found grace in your sight, show me now your way, that I may know you and that I may find grace in your sight, and consider that this nation is your people." So for me, he
kind of honed in there.
He did. He focused on if Moses, from his perspective, saying, "If I have found grace in your sight, God, if I have found favor, that I may find that. What is your will for me?"
That's an interesting. It's an interesting question. Is that favor in God's will or knowing His way? I don't know that it's like something that you could just be like, it's black and white, but
yeah.
And you may have experienced this as well, but I know that there's times in my life that I was in the will of God, and I had the favor of God, and there were times that I was not in the will of God.
Yeah.
And I did not have the favor of God. and those things were different.
They are different.
My outlook, my mentality was different.
Right.
The outcomes of my life at those times was different.
Right. It's like the fruit that we bear.
Yeah.
It's very evident. It becomes, as much as we try to change or act or fulfill what we feel like, is that we can't hide the fruit that we bear. No matter how hard that we try, it comes out one way or another. So it's eventually, you may not see it at first, but it'll become very relevant to how much
to what we're planning.
Yeah, to what if you're in God's will or not, it'll
Yeah.
become very quickly relevant.
Yeah, and so that's what Moses was praying here. If if I found favor, please show me your way, God. I want to know your direction.
Yeah.
And he goes on. He goes on to Psalms 139, and in a couple of verses there, it says, "For you formed my inward parts; you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works; my soul knows it very well." He bringing in that understanding that we are a work of God.
A process.
We're in the process. Genesis puts it like this: we are image bearers of God.
Mm-hmm.
We are made in His image and His likeness. But not everything is always perfect.
No, it's not.
Not everything's always. Some things, some things round us out. So we're molded and made into His image. If I may, John 3:5, when Jesus was talking to Nicodemus, you must be born again of water and of spirit. He's talking of our nature, of ourselves, because He made us with free will, but He formed us with His hand, but He gave us free will, and so we took what God had made into our own hands, and so we are fearfully and wonderfully made. But sometimes God has to rework us.
Yeah, we're a work in progress.
We have to find ourselves in His will. Not my will, not your will,
but Thy will.
Not our great uncle's will. God's will.
That's right.
When we start to look at that, Brother Gibson went into he went into Job, and if you don't know the story of Job, it is perhaps the oldest book of the Bible as far as like oldest written history of the Bible. That's what scholars say. We have like the oldest manuscripts of it. The story is old as time itself. But Job was a man that he had everything. He had it, just anything and everything he had. He had it. He was a rich man, but he was a righteous man.
Yeah.
And then God took it away. And then He attacked his health.
He attacked his health. He attacked his
family,
his riches.
Yeah.
Multiple things.
Everything. Like literally, you couldn't like, I think this story's the story of Job's in the Bible because you can't have it worse than Job.
No, he ended up in a pile of ashes.
Yeah. You just, no matter how bad your day is, like at worst, you're gonna just be right where Job was. Like that's essentially,
yeah.
That's essentially where you're gonna wind up at. But at the worst of the worst. But God was so faithful to him. God actually allowed those things to happen to him.
He did.
How do you reconcile that? Right?
Yeah,
I'm fearfully and wonderfully made.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah says, "What? For I know the plans that I have towards you." You know, and they're good. They're not evil. But then, like, how do you reconcile that if you're going through a Job-like situation?
Man, for me, the only way that you can like reconcile that is just it's your mindset.
Okay.
That you have to go towards it. And I think that is what Brother Gibson was trying to get with this, was trying to help us know we have to be intentional with how we perceive things, how we perceive God's plan unfolding in our life through the good and the bad. Even though as difficult as it was, Job had to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He had to understand, like you could read on in Job, and, you know, even through his friends saying you should just curse God and die, or accusing him, and then his wife coming out and saying you might as well just curse God and die.
Yeah.
You know, and through all of those things, you know, he never blamed God. He never cursed God. He never did any of those things. He maintained his integrity through all of that.
Yeah.
And that would be so challenging.
Wouldn't it?
Just imagine.
Wouldn't it though?
Well, I have a son that's going to turn a year old in just a few days. And so I could not imagine as a father losing my son. And it talks about he prayed.
Yeah.
He made sacrifice intentionally, like, God, just in case my children are doing something. I don't even know. They could be the best kids in the world, but I don't know what they're doing when I'm not around. So just in case, God, I'm going to make sacrifice and be intentional with making sure they don't dishonor you, make sure they're covered, and being intentional with that. And then to lose them, a great wind came
and took them out.
That'd be a struggle. That would, me being honest, putting myself in his shoes, losing my one son, let alone multiple children.
Yeah,
not comparing, but that would be a struggle.
That's a blow, and that was the last. That wasn't even the last blow. No. That was just the blow. Like Job went into nervous breakdown and boils and all that stuff.
Yeah,
God gave me something a few years ago, and I've taught on it different times. But what about Job's children?
Mm.
They were caught up in their parents' battle, and it had nothing to do with them. They get to when they get to heaven, they're just showing up like, God, what in the world just happened? like, what did I do?
Just turned like, what? I was what? Why?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
and so true. that was something that Brother Gibson talked about, getting caught up in that. Sometimes, it's like we get caught up in the plan of God, and then Satan comes in and tries to destroy us, and we feel like we're somewhere, but what happened was, and if I may, he had that. Job had that nervous breakdown. He had that's literally what you could call it. I mean, it was the breakdown of breakdowns.
Yeah,
and he had sores, and he was just scraping his body, and he went from riches to rags, and brokenness. And then there's the bulk of the book of Job is his friends just like dogging him.
Yeah.
I mean,
really,
for lack of better words.
No, they were. We recently read through Job myself, and I said that to my wife. I always said, if I had like friends like Job, who needs enemies?
Well, I mean, at least they came and like hung out with him.
They did. They mourned with him.
Yeah, they hung out with him, but man, then they dogged him and just on and on.
Like I said, Job, I know you did something.
Yeah.
You must have done something.
Why are you being prideful, Job? He's like, guys, I didn't do anything.
I didn't even do anything.
But he had to live through like 38 chapters of getting dogged by his friends.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, those were good friends. They hung out for 38 chapters. And then he gets to Job 42:10. It says, and the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends.
Prayed for his friends.
And one of the hardest things to do is in real life, when you're in the hospital. You've spent some time in the hospital with your son in the NICU.
Yeah.
How much of the outside world made sense?
None. I remember the day that we left.
Yeah.
And when I walked into my house with him, I missed the hospital in a weird sense of like, that was my home.
Yeah.
My mind was so fixated on a routine, trying to establish this and like being caught up in those moments that I make the joke all the time. I'm like, honey, there's our second house.
Yeah.
And
because it was such a centrifuge, I should say, of your existence, of keeping your son alive. And everything was so honed in on that.
Right.
If I may, and I'm not going to critique, I'm using that as real life example there of there was almost nothing else that you could think of outside of that.
No.
Every waking moment.
Right.
But Job was in that same situation.
Yes.
Worse.
Mm-hmm.
When he prayed for his friends, God restored the fortunes of Job. How hard is it? That's one real life example. That's you're gonna have an example of that, of when you're in financial trouble, when you're in job trouble, when you're in health trouble, when you're in relationship trouble. How hard is it to crack to crack open the nut of your own problems,
get outside,
and then see past them, because we get blinders on.
We do.
I can't see anything but my issue. I can't see anything but my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what's happening over here, because I can't see it, because all I can focus on when I go to God in prayer, it's just right here. It's just right.
Is my need, what I'm dealing with right now. And it talks about whenever at the beginning of Job, when it talks about like Satan coming and talking to God again and again. Yeah. Brother Gibson emphasized that, which I was very remarkable to me. Very simple, but very profound. Again and again. Yeah. It's life. Things are going to happen. And sometimes it's, the devil. Sometimes it feels like that, but sometimes it is just life. It's not, doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world, but it's very easy for us just to get caught up in that.
Again and again.
Again and again.
Yeah.
And again.
And the whole key to Job's deliverance and his restoration was to somehow see past it and pray for his friends.
Yeah.
The people that had dogged him.
For 38 chapters.
For 38 long chapters. Dogged him.
And he meant it.
And he prayed, sincerely prayed. And at the end of service, Brother Gibson, he said, you know what? You need to pray for someone else today.
Yeah.
You need to pray for someone else's need today. I thought that was so, in doing that, I prayed specifically for need, and I felt like God laid something very specifically on my heart for someone else that wasn't for me. And I was like, well, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. And like that was, I was like, that's part of it, getting past myself. Man, what a word we had. I encourage you to go back and watch it.
Yes.
It'll be on www.cachattanooga.org. It'll be on YouTube, on Facebook. If you can at all, go back and join us in the worship service. Go and join us on the message. Also, if you have any prayer request, better yet, if you have a need that is not your own, that you need us to help pray for, would you just let us know?
Yeah, let us know.
You can find our email, info@cachattanooga.org. Send us a prayer request. We want to make sure we are praying with you. And I want to say, Ethan, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, my friend. Thank you for asking me to join today.
I hope you enjoyed another episode of Footnotes.
Yeah.